from the Dent County Health Center. Glad to have both of you here.
Good to be here, Stan.
Appreciate
Beautiful
you.
morning out there.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Gorgeous. Have you had a chance to do a little turkey hunting, Darrell?
I've gotten a couple of mornings in. That's about it. And they call it turkey hunting rather than turkey shooting. So I'm big on hunting.
Well, there you go.
Haven't done much shooting, but that's okay.
That's all right. That's all right. As long as you get out there and enjoy that peacefulness, that's what it's all about.
It's the most beautiful time of the year to be out in the woods.
Very good.
But anyway.
And Kendra, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Starting to calm down a little bit.
Well, it was until the governor has decided it's time to reopen, and so it's ramped up a little bit with a bunch of questions, but nothing too bad. We're still staying strong here in Dent County with 0 cases, and we're hoping it stays that way.
But it's questions that are good questions.
Absolutely.
You know, because the questions are, can I do this? Can I open? Can I do this? And what, and a lot of it is just clarification, isn't it?
Right. Yeah, it is. So we've released on our Facebook page a document that's just general business guidance and then several industry-specific pages.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
That's the stream.
And then if anyone has any questions based on what we've sent out, they're more than welcome to call.
Yeah, we linked that in Year Old the Day story and had that out there because...
It's worked it.
Yeah, I know. We wanted to make sure that everybody saw that. I mean, you can explain it all, but that was just an easy way of taking a look, and you can and can't.
Right.
So is the same information you say you had on your Facebook, is it available? Because there are people who don't Facebook. So is that information?
Forwarded it to the Salem newspaper. The general guide I forwarded to the Salem News, and then I was waiting until I had all the industry-specific guides done. I should finish those up today, and I'll forward those on to the Salem News as well.
Yeah, and we had them on Year Old the Day, at least the premise of what it was all about, and then just not all the great details, because there's a lot of little fine details in there that people would need, and we just said if they need to know, just to call Kendra.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best way to do it.
And I can make copies of it. They can be picked up or sent out.
Or you can even email them out to somebody.
We can email them. Roma has sent several of them to restaurants and lodging facilities and such. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. And, the whole idea behind getting back into this I guess getting back into maybe a routine might be the best idea.
New normal.
I don't say even new normal, just getting back into a routine because after 5 or 6 weeks and it's not going to be exactly the same. It's just like not reopening and going back and doing what you did before. It is, it's a readjustment period, but, getting things back, trying to get things back to a normal/new normal.
Right.
Is going to be, it's not very difficult, I don't think, because it's just people just got to be a little bit more attentive, a little bit more cautious, and just use a little common sense.
Sure. Yep. The threat is still here, but we've done a good job to maintain here in Dent County, and I think we'll continue to do the same. People just need to be aware of the physical distancing guidelines that are out there and the mask recommendations that are there, and if you're going to be within 6 foot of someone, put a mask on to protect them.
So basically the parameters for reopening are what? I mean, there are the various things people just need to be aware.
Yep. So most places can go back to somewhat business as normal as long as they're maintaining 6 foot space. So if you go into a restaurant, the tables should be at least 6 foot apart so that people sitting at the tables are 6 foot apart. No more than 10 people sitting at a table. And then I think the restaurants will take some more precautions where maybe they'll have the same bus person for each table, and they won't clean off the tables until everything's gone. And there's going to be some single-use items or disposable utensils and condiment packages and salt and pepper maybe then instead of using the condiment bottles that they use and the salt and pepper shakers that they use. Just different. I'm sorry.
I know.
You'll appreciate it though if you stay healthy.
I know.
And they may not all do that. Maybe they'll put in some more cleaning regimens and maybe they'll wipe those bottles down and stuff. Those are all just recommendations that we've sent out there. But, when you go to a hair salon, you may not sit in a congregated waiting area. You might stay in your car until it's your appointment, or they may have every other chair filled, or your stylist might wear a mask, or they might ask you to wear a mask, or, they might ask you to wash your hair before you get there so that limits the time that you're in there. When you go to church, you still need to sit with your family and stay 6 foot apart. So maybe one family per pew, every other row of pews, or something like that. They may not pass an offering plate. They might set up what some have suggested as a giving box, so that you're not passing a plate all through the congregation, or just things like that. Just a different way of doing things to still get the same outcome that we always have before. A sense of community, but a safe sense of community.
And you might even find little bottles of sanitation,
Right,
hand
yes.
sanitizer in
I
the
hope
church
you do.
as well. And you should.
Well,
and
a lot of them have had those for quite some time, though, scattered around.
But watch what you touch. I mean, that's what really the thing is here. That's how it spreads right now. I mean, really, especially when you get to summertime.
Right.
If somebody grabs onto the door with their hand, and if they have it, then the next 5-6 people coming in touching it with their hand. If you use your hand sanitizer after that, do a good job of going through your fingers and the fingernails as well. But if you do a good job of that, you're going to be okay.
Right.
I mean, everything's going to be all right.
Right. And it's all about exposure, the amount of time that you're with someone, and how close you are in proximity to them for how long.
We need to remind people while we're reopening Monday, it doesn't mean really that we're over the coronavirus thing any way, shape, or form. It's still very rampant.
No,
in
yeah,
some areas
absolutely.
of the state, there's still increasing numbers, still people dying.
Yeah,
and
the only
especially
place that was
those vulnerable
increasing last time I
populations.
checked, though, was St. Louis.
That's what it still
Yeah,
looks like.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was everybody else was really going down quick, and that's good. That's
That's
good news. So
great,
just
and
keep up
that-
the good work,
Right.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, keep up the good work. But even Kansas City was coming down, which for a while they started to edge back up. But St. Louis had a pretty good uptick, as a matter of fact. But they've got some issues with their county right now, and people just don't want to stay at home.
Yeah.
Now, I understand the parks will be reopening as well later this month.
The state parks.
Yeah.
That's the plan, but they'll revisit as time passes.
It's gonna be
That's
kind
not
of a phased
that's not a
in deal.
different. Right. Yep.
Right.
We'll just have to see. Once we get through the first incubation period, we'll know, which is about 14 days. We'll know a little bit more, and then the next incubation period, we'll know a little bit more. And that's why we do this in phases. The incubation period is anywhere from 2 to 14 days. So that means if you're exposed on day 0, you're probably not going to get sick for 2 or 14 days. So after 2 weeks, we'll know a whole lot more. In 3 weeks, we'll know a whole lot more about what these phases are going to look like.
Yeah, very good. And it is. We all know what time of season it is. I mean, fishing season, things of that nature. But you can still go fishing at Montauk State Park. Day use is fine, correct?
Yes.
And everything is still good there.
Yeah, and you should. If you're keeping distance, then by all means, get outside. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah. So virtually everything, I think the concessionaires will be able to start making those decisions coming up pretty soon. And then the state parks themselves won't. But if the concessionaire, like Montauk is a concessionaire, they literally could open Monday if they want, as long as they, abide by the governor's guidelines, right?
Their
Right.
Their lodge and lodging area, yes.
Yeah. So they literally could. That doesn't mean they will, but they could. But they have to follow it. But like Echo Bluff State Park, probably won't.
Right.
Even though they have a concessionaire, they've got a little bit more stuff down there. It's harder to get done.
Time will tell, but they'll be coming back.
Absolutely.
If things work out. You talk about fishing, though. They haven't been stocking any fish at Montauk for about the last 30
Makes
days.
it harder,
Right.
Darrell.
So
It's just not as easy.
I wouldn't worry about taking a lot of bait with me. Fish down there.
But it's like your turkey hunting, right?
A bare hook will probably do you about as well as it is.
It's just like your turkey hunting, just being out there.
No. I seen them. They were there, bird and almost.
Well, I know, but you can go see a fish in the water still. I mean,
But
that's
hey,
all
there
right.
are fish. There are plenty of fish in the current river below the park, and they'll be stocking again as soon as they start getting ready to wrap up. So, because I know people really, truly, a large part of the economy of Dent County is tourism based as we go through the summer and
I
spring.
believe
so,
a release from the Department of Conservation. I believe they're going to start restocking on the 14th.
Yeah.
And then reopen everything on the 18th, so they'll be back to a normal routine. So that's their plan. Okay. And of course, we all know plans can change, right?
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. So.
And the more we pay attention to these guidelines, the quicker we can reopen things even more. If we have a surge in cases, we're going to have to step back a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
And Kendra, I think we should make this known. I mean, even the governor said certain areas of the state will possibly get open quicker than others. Obviously, we've been
Right.
talking about St. Louis. That's probably going to be the last place that we'll
Right.
really be able
Yep.
to start loosening things up simply because they're still having an increase in cases. But in the second breath they're also doing much more testing now in St. Louis than they ever had been before. So you're going to find more cases, right?
Yeah, and testing is pretty wide open now. I mean, if you're sick and you go to the doctor and they're concerned that you have COVID, it's very simple to get qualified for a test.
Yeah, you don't need to have all
and
the
we're getting
symptoms.
results back much quicker.
Yeah, you don't need to have all the symptoms now. Just have to have one, right?
Yeah.
So they'll give you that test and see.
Yep.
Very good.
Okay.
Good. How about our surrounding counties? We know that Crawford has some. Shannon doesn't have any yet, do they? I don't believe so.
No.
Texas County didn't have any.
No, Texas County.
Phelps County had 2.
Yep.
The last I checked, 7 in
Laclede
Crawford
still
County.
has none.
2 in Reynolds County, but they're in Ellington.
Yep. Laclede still has none. Pulaski County has a little over 30. I know I saw 2 new ones yesterday, but I think
there were 34.
I think there were 31 that are recovered.
Yeah.
So
They had 34 total, I believe, that were reported.
34 total. I think they did have 1 death and then 2 new cases. 31 recovered, which is great. I'm trying to think.
I like to hear more of the recovery numbers anymore.
Yeah.
You don't hear enough of that.
Yeah.
Those recovery numbers are really hard because the problem with COVID is some people, when they get sick, are sick for weeks. And that's the fear with the ventilators and the surgeon cases and things like that, because some people have been on ventilators or been in respiratory failure for 2, 3, 4 weeks at a time. So it's hard to count the number of recovered. It's not as simple as what some people might think. They are, and we've never had a infectious disease before that we actually counted recovered cases, so there's not really a case definition of how you determine if someone is recovered or not. So, I mean, it's easier for us on the local level to say, yes, we've talked to them, and yes, they're fully recovered, but when you're in a place like St. Louis County and you have the number of cases, trying to keep up with just getting those people isolated and their contacts isolated. The people that were sick 2 weeks ago, you almost, there's not enough employees and enough staff to try and figure out if those tracking recoveries is very, very, very hard. But the state is working on a recovery definition, so hopefully we'll get some recovery numbers soon. But locals can kind of do that, like Pulaski has said 31 of theirs are recovered. But
yeah, I would like, if nothing else, I would like to hear anybody who was hospitalized.
Sure.
How many hospitalization releases have there been since they were admitted? And that is not a hard number to get.
Right.
They should be able to do that. So
I can tell you there's 0 in Dent County.
You know what? You went out on a limb on that one. So how many tests have been administered now in Dent County? I know it's over 40, but
46.
46.
Yep.
All
46.
negative.
We have 2 pending.
Yeah.
But.
Well, so far all negative.
Yep.
That's good. That's good. Keep
That's
it up.
great. Yep.
Very good.
They did the targeted testing in Phelps County over the weekend. Their goal was 400 tests. They did well over 300, and not all those test results are in yet, but majority of them are, and they've all been negative so far, which is great. That was more to kind of look for disease prevalence, so you did not have to be symptomatic to get one of those tests. Those were asymptomatic people that just volunteered for a test, and those numbers are coming back great.
Trying to find out if it's out there and just not being able to be detected. Or, and a lot of it now is some people may have already had it and gotten recovered, and they're trying to also locate some of those people as well.
There will be some serology tests coming down the line. There aren't any FDA-approved serologic tests in Missouri at this time, but they're working on that too.
Yeah, University of Missouri put out a release. They're one of 41 colleges now doing that. Anybody who has recovered from COVID, they are taking their blood and seeing if this is a way that can help. But of course, they have come up with a new, I won't say it's not even a new drug, but they have found a drug that does help. And that's been through clinical trials now. So this is not just something that somebody's just saying, hey, I think this might work. They've already done some clinical trials on it. It's not a cure, but it can help alleviate some of the symptoms, which, if you've got it, anything to help would be fantastic.
Sure. Yep.
It's very promising, sounds like,
Yeah.
what they've come up with, though. Yep. Okay. So Monday, things open back up a little. The courthouse will be open Monday morning. Excuse me. Open for normal business Monday. But again, would ask everyone, please respect the social distancing guidelines and so forth and so on. Commission will meet Monday. We'll probably go ahead and continue for the just for the foreseeable future, short time. The commission will continue to meet once a week versus the twice a week that we had been before. So, but at any rate, if anybody needs anything, we're pretty easy to find.
Absolutely.
But anyway, but other business will be conducted at the courthouse, and some of the office holders may take some extra measures to, that's up to them what they put in place. So anyway.
Very good. Just while Kendra's here, though, I do want to kind of touch on it's that time of year that Mr. Tick and his fellow friends start coming out. We've already had a couple of cases of Rocky Mountain spotted fever I saw in the last report.
Really?
So
in Dent County, or
we get those. We get those all year, but they'll ramp up now. Yeah,
but
for sure.
We have not had a super cold winter to even alleviate any ticks, and they're out there pretty thick already now. And we're asking people now to go outside and get outside, but that doesn't mean that ticks have stopped. They are out there, and they're plenty thick, aren't they?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So be cautious and do take the precautions you need to if you can. You definitely want to try and get some kind of protection on your clothing before you go out there if you know you're going to be taking walks, even in some of the nature trails now, because there's a lot of ticks out there.
A lot of ticks and new tick-borne illnesses developing all the time.
So we want to make sure people stay. We don't want to ruin your summer with getting a tick-borne illness.
Right.
And there's a lot of products widely available that you can spray on your clothing, your shoes, your socks.
Yep.
But you still need to check yourself, too,
Pretty
right?
effective.
Yep. And your animals. Indoor pets, outdoor animals. Yep.
So just wanted to kind of bring that up right now because I saw in your report that here we start going with the tick-borne illnesses starting to come back again. And, that'll start picking up big time, especially if youngsters who don't maybe play outside normally are getting outside now. My big thing outside was always poison ivy, poison oak. It was always my big thing. However, and that can be very dangerous too if you have a bad allergy to it. But the tick problem around here, man, I know we get a lot of high grass, and you don't even see them. You walk right by, next thing you know, you got a bunch of them on you. Easy to do.
Yep, very.
Easy to do. So make sure you check that out.
Yeah.
So, very good. Very good. If you have any questions about ticks, by the way, or tick-borne illnesses, call the health center, 729-3106. It's not something to play with, and a lot of times those, I should say, symptoms are disguised, aren't they?
Yep. Or prolonged. They don't show up for a month or two after your tick bite. And the sooner you get the medicine, the better.
Right. It can be anywhere from sore joints to fever, and I mean, it can. Like I said, it doesn't come out and say I'm a tick bite. It comes out in different ways, and you have to get it diagnosed.
If a person has a tick bite that continues red and has some odd things for very long after they remove the tick, pretty good sign. You better get it looked at.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
Yeah, very good. All right.
I've got some other news here while we're talking about this coronavirus deal and the stuff and the deal. We've got some good news this week, and it's an interesting deal. The state received. Was you done? I mean, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, I do want to say that we're going to do WIC for at least one more month over the phone and by mail, just like we've been doing, and we'll still, for the next 2 or 3 weeks or so, we will continue the appointment only. We're going to keep our staff split up into the 2 teams just in case we would have a rise in cases and we need them for contact tracing. We don't want everybody to be out all at once. So our business will stay just like it's been the last 3 or 4 weeks at the health center.
Yeah, as will the hospitals. As I talked to Jason on Wednesday, and he said, he goes, we're not letting it, nothing's changing. We meet every day. We go over every day. You never know. One case comes in, we have to change everything. So we just keep up the same protocol.
Yes.
So, and I know you're in constant contact with them. So,
and nursing homes will still be closed for visitors, residential care,
assisted living,
the
things
the
like
vulnerable populations still need to be protected for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Very good. I appreciate it.
You
but I
can
want to let
stay
you
if
know.
you want, or you can leave
I
it.
think he wants me to stay maybe for this.
That's fine. Yeah, if you want, that's fine. We've talked about it some, but we knew for some time. In the CARES Act that Congress passed, there was funding sent to the states,
Right.
to help with offsetting cost connected with it. The state of Missouri got a little over $2 billion So the legislature has taken action on that, and what they're going to do with that. The legislature's decided 521 million of that will go back directly to the counties. Now I know health centers across the state were hoping the legislature would send money to the health centers to help with this, but you don't get the money yet.
Right.
But it's all going to the counties. We had a conference call. Actually, I'm on the County Commission Association board, and we had a conference call on Wednesday with the state treasurer and one of his staff people about how this is going to work. And I had to send a federal certification form back, and they wanted them back by today. I got it sent back yesterday, but it's from each county, and like I say, they're sending all this money back to the counties, and it's being appropriated out based on population. So for Dent County, it's going to be about $1,827,000, or I believe that's
1.8 million.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a big chunk of change. $1,827,024 will be sent to Dent County. And now, before everybody gets all giddy and, oh, great, we're going to do, there's real strict guidelines in place on what it can be used for. It can be used to reimburse local government entities like the health center, the city, county, hospital, whatever, to reimburse them for direct expenses that they've incurred as a result of this. And this is to reimburse also for expenses occurring from March the 1st of this year through December 30th of this year. Well, obviously, we don't even know what's going to happen between now and December 30th, so it isn't like we're going to be in a great rush to get rid of all this money. But there's strict guidelines that apply. There'll have to be receipts and invoices and things to show how this works. And we're going to be working through this. Right now, we're still trying to get clarification, which is kind of hard to do. The guidelines, some of them are a little fuzzy on how it works.
Somewhat vague, is that what we're going to say?
Somewhat vague.
Yeah, like almost totally vague.
Well, and you can ask somebody, and they say, yes, we think that would be okay. And that's all right, except the bottom line is, they keep emphasizing, the counties will be held responsible for all these funds. And if down the road they know the feds are going to be doing compliance check, auditing with the state and with these, wherever these monies went, and if it would find that we allowed some of these monies to be used for non-compliant uses, then the county will have to reimburse and send the money back, even though the money's gone. So we're going to be pretty careful how the money goes out, and we're still working on how that's going to work. It's going to be a huge administrative job even trying to do this. There is provision in it that allows funds to be used for private businesses, small businesses, to help with the cost of shutting down required by it. How that's going to work, and we've been asking more clarification on that, and there's going to be more guidance and clarification come out. In the payroll protection program that came out, they were changing the rules 3 or 4 times as they were trying to put it in place. I don't think there's going to be much changing of the rules. The problem here is just getting decent clarification from somebody what's going to be okay. But we know
streamlining it to where it gives you better decisions.
So at any rate, I want people to be aware the county will be getting, probably next week, we'll be getting it'll be a deposit in the county account, just like other deposits the state makes of a little over $1.8 million. That will go into an account. We will have to amend our budget to account for those dollars before we could even expend them anyway. And there is a legal process. We have to go through that on amending a budget. We have to first announce that there's going to be a budget amendment. It has to be published in the local newspaper. And then I think it's 10 days after that notification is published before we can have a budget hearing to formally approve the revised budget. So it's going to be the end of May, the way all this works, because it's going to be next week before the commission can formally look at and draw up what this budget's going to look like. And then we got to publish it. That's Monday when we meet. I probably can't get it in the paper the next day, so it's the following week before it can go in the paper, which puts us on Monday following on Memorial Day weekend before we could even hold a budget hearing. So it's going to be somewhere around the 26th, 27th, something like that, before we can actually even get a budget approved. And we are looking, and I know other counties, we've talked about it, are looking at how to set this thing up administratively, because you can imagine when you get into the in depth of this thing, how involved it could be administratively trying keep everything straight. We may, and actually the state treasurer mentioned he thought some counties probably may want to look at hiring an outside firm to do the administrative part of this and handle it. But the dollars will have to stay in the county's treasury, and all requests for payment then come back to the county and will go out. So how we're going to do the administrative part, we'll see. I've been talking to Phelps County and some of the others, and how they're going to do it. And I think we'll have a pretty good resolution to that problem that'll work well, where somebody can get a hold of people that are applying for the dollars will have somebody they can talk to quickly, and we'll have good information and can take the requests, the applications, and then get them back to us. So that's what we're looking at. But I just don't want anybody to come rushing to the courthouse wanting money for their business, because it's going to be a while, and it's going to be a process we go through to get that done. Because the last thing we want to do is see that some monies aren't put out for the reasons intended under the federal. There's federal guidelines that apply, and then the state is just making sure that those guidelines are followed. Now, the funny part about this, and the aggravating part somewhat, is the county itself will qualify for virtually none of the funds, but by getting this $1.8 million, it will put us over the threshold that will require us will trigger us 1 year federal audit, financial audit, which will cost the county between $15,000 and $20,000. So that's a separate frustration that small rural counties have every time something like this happens. You think free money. Well, it's free money, but it's almost like winning the lottery. But you got to send them $20,000 to get the money, and then find out you got to give it all away to family and friends before you can get it anyway. But you still got to pay. So we're going to get it, and we're going to get it distributed out to like the health center, to hospital. If the hospital's got expenses they've incurred, we want them to get these dollars and see what we can get out here to local businesses, what qualifies as expenses or what have you, or costs, that we can get it out, because that's what the point of it is. And again, it's for expenses from March 1st of this year through December 30th. So we're not going to be in a great rush to get rid of it all until we know where we're at later here into the fall. Now, after December 30th, we have until March the 30th then to go ahead. I mean, we'll have to identify those expenses if they're going to be reimbursed by December 30th. But we have until end of March then to get those funds expended. Any funds not expended then go back to the state and go back into their funds to help pay for unemployment costs associated, and that's what I understand, and so forth and so on. So they don't just disappear, but we have until March 30th of next year then to get those dollars used as much as we can.
Yeah. There's a lot of clarification to be done.
Quite a bit.
Now and then,
quite a bit.
So, yeah.
Most of the questions we ask, the answers came with probablys. Think so. Yes, might, probably, and that's all well and good, but that doesn't help if you have an audit later and they determine, $500,000 here wasn't under their guidelines, so we want that $500,000 back, and we don't intend to get caught in that.
And one of the things, and I was reading through that, of course, there's a lot of legal terminology used in it, but one of the things, if you got an EIDL or you got a payroll protection program, those funds, you're getting reimbursed through them. You don't get a second reimbursement through this fund.
They can't be
used. Double dip.
They can't be used for any reimbursement of any costs that were in any way covered through any other program, insurance or what have you.
Yeah, and that's where
that's
where there's going to be some fine lines drawn, I think, for some people.
Yeah.
So, who would like to put in a claim for that money. That affected their business, because if you're going an EIDL, that's good for 2 years or 3 years, isn't it? 3 years now. I think that payroll protection, you got to use that money within 2 years. So, but it has to be used for specific purposes to be forgiven, and that's not even for sure now either. They're not even quite sure they'll forgive.
So anyway, I want to make folks aware we will be getting it, but don't anybody rush them, and no need of rushing, calling, or anything even right now on this until we get some more information. We'll get the money. It will be set into a separate account. It won't be commingled with other. Right. It'll be its own separate fund. Right. But I mean, most of our funds, we got the general revenue. Just another
fund for the budget, right, Darrell?
One more fund. Yep. But anyway, we'll get it done. I can tell you. I mean, there was a lot of frustration. There was a lot of frustration on the part of counties that the state didn't go ahead and administer this out to the county health centers and all the various entities that rightfully should get it. On the other hand, I mean, it is frustrating What's most frustrating to me is that we have to pay this stupid audit expense just because of this money coming in. And for small rural counties, and that's a whole bunch of us here in this, across the state, that otherwise would never have to pay this. We have to do right now, because of our bonding for the jail, we have to do a financial audit every 2 years. Well, this will fall in this year, that is the off year. So we're going to have to pay for another one just for this year because this money came. So I sent out this information to Congressman Smith and our Senator Hawley and Blunt's staff that, this is one other thing that they could do congressionally to really help in this thing. It's a real kick in the pants to get a bunch of money to help in the cost of this when actually the entity getting the money won't really use much of it, but you're going to get saddled with a big audit bill just for getting it so you can get the money distributed. Had the state kept it and distributed the money out to all the entities in the county, well, then we wouldn't have occurred this, but otherwise the local taxpayers will pay the audit expense. It comes right out of general revenue when we have to do those financial audits. So, but anyway, I know one county commissioner informed me that they had looked at it and voted not to even accept it, and they're not going to do it at all. I have a feeling when they look into this a little bit more, they'll probably back up and take it. I mean, that was a temptation, I know, from expressed by several across the state when they first heard what they were about to get. But I think there's ways to handle. A lot of it is just simply the administrative deal of trying to administer the whole program. But I think we'll get that worked out. So I know we will. So anyway.
It would definitely be time consuming.
Yeah.
And very, very bookkeeping heavy, we'll put it that way.
Yeah. Well, and that's it. And our problem was who at the county level is going to be able to dedicate that time and resources to handling those calls and having all the information and sifting through the guidance. And we've also got the county commissioners or Missouri Association of Counties lawyer that we use out of Springfield is looking at this and looking at it closely, and he's working with the treasurer's office and working with the federal folks on trying to get further clarification on what we can do, and he will work with us too. Whatever we settle on administratively wise, we'll work on and providing guidance and input on that end of it there to make sure everything's clear. And there's already some pretty good documentation being put out for applications and what those need to look like and so forth and so on. So anyway, so at first it was pretty mind-boggling at first. So as most things are, but anyway, we'll get it worked out.
Yeah, but as you said,
my question from the beginning, and I asked Kendra this, okay, how much are you looking at that's actual expense? And they're looking at several $1,000s. Well, if that's the case, then we'll go for it. If it looked at first like the provisions of it were so tight that it'd be hard for anybody to benefit. But when you get to looking at the whole thing, well, we'll use a chunk of it. Whether we'll use all $1.8 million, I have no idea. I don't know how to predict what now in December holds, but we'll have it and we'll get it. So anyway, we'll get it this week. Most likely.
It will be interesting. And like you said, though, don't be expecting this anytime soon because the whole protocol has to be set up even after you get it approved by, get it into the new budget. You can't even touch it until
Well, and part of the main goals in this is making sure the public entities have the funds necessary to address this problem. And again, as we talked about, we're not over it. We don't know what we're going through.
Hopefully by the end of May, though, we'll have a lot better grasp on what's going to happen.
So there's some things we can do with this problem, to even go ahead and be better prepared going out, that we can use these dollars for. So
yeah, see, I never, and I didn't see in there, Darrell. I'm not trying to jump the gun here, but let's just say that we, Kendra gives the all clear, and everybody can go back to the new normal, if you want to call it that, and everything is good. And all of a sudden, this fall, we have another little ramp up. I'm not sure. Now, say if the county would say, okay, here it is, August. These people had to close for this. We can allocate this money to them. I'm not sure there's a second wave. You can't go back and ask for more funds. So, like you said, that's good till March of 2021. I never saw anywhere in there that says you can or you can't. So, that's something, like you said, has to be administered. These are all questions that are still being answered.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a great idea, but how are we going to do it to make sure that it's done right?
I can tell you, I can guarantee you before we're done, it'll be very frustrating for us, the commission, too, that we can't allocate those dollars out to some things that we'd love to, just simply due to the fact that every bit of it as it goes out will require documentation to back up the claim of why it's an eligible expense.
Well,
There's some that we're going to go, you know what, we know darn well.
yeah,
That's
absolutely.
it, it'll go. But if we can't back it up, because we've got to keep the documentation and have it ready to show, because if we can't, I know we get told by the state auditor all the time that, well, yeah, if that's what that was for, okay. And they go, but if there's no documentation, it didn't happen. And so.
Right. Well, and you guys know from the FEMA problems we've had here, if you don't have every T crossed and I dotted,
Right.
and have pictures, and what was the last time we had stuff? You had to have GPS coordinates for
Right.
the different things
Yep.
you had. I mean, they want to know exactly what you did, and you better have all the information, or
Yep.
you're not going to get reimbursed.
Every picture of every spot had to have GPS coordinates for where that was at and all these various things, But we've been pretty good on that,
Right.
We've been complimented numerous times by the FEMA folks when they've been here that we had our stuff together when they got here better than most counties that they end up in. And we hear complaints and howls at meetings from other counties about their frustration, but we generally find it's because of lack of documentation and covering bases on their end.
Right.
It's
So
created
we've
some
learned
problems.
in the past that's what you need to do. But for the small business out there that had to close, did they document everything as they were closing? Do they have all that information on a weekly basis? I mean, more than likely, no.
Well, that's the concern and the problem on some things like that. How do you have documentation of a negative? It's hard to prove a negative. You can't prove something that didn't happen. Now, yeah, history, you can go back and some
Right.
of these things. So that's the things that we're trying to get ironed out on how we'll work on that part of the thing. The other things, what the health center spent, or what the city of Salem has spent, or what the county spent, or hospital, there'll be invoices, there'll be an easy document tracking trail that can be followed. The other things is where it gets hazy and that we're looking for more guidance and clarification on. And again, those questions so far as we ask them are answered with probablys and well, maybe. Well, that's all well and good, but we're not going to have ourselves hanging out to the tune of several $100,000 that we could have to reimburse because somebody said it probably would be okay. What is it they say? Close counts and horseshoes and hand grenades.
That's right.
Yeah.
And atomic bombs. But
Yeah.
But one of the things you'll probably never get is a written document from any federal employee that says yes, that's okay.
Yeah. Well, but we know. But I think in this there will be further clarification and guidance come out
Right.
in that regard to some of those questions.
Sure.
We know that.
Sure.
So anyway, but they're questions that need to be asked and clarified as much as we can. So anyway, but that's the good news on this. So,
Very good.
do you have any questions about it? Because I basically, in a nutshell, told you everything I know about it.
Nope.
Yeah.
I'm keeping track of our expenses.
Yep. Good. I knew you were.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So
I'm keeping track of ours.
you bet. Well,
Well,
it's affected everybody,
Well,
especially businesses.
Well, actually, the federal government wants us to keep track of all the coronavirus PSAs we run,
Sure.
so that we can put a claim in for reimbursement.
Absolutely.
That's it. There's some of these things that may be reimbursed by FEMA or through SEMA. We don't know yet. It's all.
Well, they've got a letter going through Congress for broadcasters, and there's no right now. Spanish broadcasters already got some $400 million. Why did they get the money? They're
was that? Who did?
Spanish broadcasters
Oh yeah.
for Puerto Rico and the other areas down even down in Texas and along the
Do you know
Mexican
Spanish?
border. I wish.
You better learn it.
Yeah, I guess I better. But I think my claim would be a little bit too late. But they put a letter through Congressman Jason Smith signed that letter that the money that should be spent for these local radio stations, we're hurting worse. The national people have national ads. They're still getting money in. The local people, where their businesses are going out of business, the mom and pops, or just having to close because they're forced to, that's the bread and butter for local businesses, and they're not getting that money.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it's it's a little bit of a tougher situation. We just did billing yesterday, and it's nowhere near where it would normally be for the month of May, or into April into May. So, but everybody has to go through this right now. It's not radio station, it's not health center,
Right.
it's not all the restaurants. It's everybody, and I really feel for like the beauty parlors and the
I agree.
and the places that got totally shut down. They have nothing coming in, and that's going to be. Of course, I think come Monday they're going to be extraordinarily busy. No,
Hopefully they're busy one at a time.
Yeah, well, they've already pretty well got a plan. Everybody I've talked to already has a plan, so
Yes.
that's great. And I'm looking forward to people going back to those locations.
Oh, me too.
And getting
Sure.
that stuff done. And so, I hope everybody made it through this okay with their business. And I hate to
Looking
see.
forward to going back myself.
I just hate to see anything like this that forces people to shut down. It's not by their choice, or it's not that somebody maybe they had a little. Sometimes we get the flu bug where somebody has to shut down for a couple days because they got the flu.
Sure.
This isn't a couple days. This is going on 6 weeks now for some of these people,
Yeah.
and it's really tough.
This has just been really, really earth changing. Really, I mean, worldwide. It isn't just us here. It's
No, that's everybody.
nationwide, worldwide. It's been a new experience. I
Definitely
mean, it was
has.
just who'd have dreamed. I was going back because we had a county commission association meeting over at Houston on March the 13th. Had a report from one of the senators about what was going on in the legislature and the hot things. But I knew I had to leave there early because we had a conference call with the governor's office about this thing going on. And man, just had this uneasy feeling. Well, boy, I'm going to tell you, everything changed drastically after that Friday, March the 13th. And what was considered normal and things that were just hot button issues for everybody at that meeting that day. I don't even remember what they were. They're totally insignificant at the time. And yet it's really kind of funny how it changes your perspective, when you think some things that are important and then something else happens, you go, good grief, why was I even worried about that? What was it? Who cares? And so anyway.
Very good.
But
Very good.
folks need to just maintain good hygiene practices and the social distancing rules and listen to the guidelines and the recommendations things as they come out. That's what's important. Yes. Okay. We got some
Very
other
important.
stuff we'll cover.
Okay, very good. Kendra, thank you very much for coming in, and appreciate all the good work that you and your staff have done over there. Keep it up. And if anybody has any questions, 729-3106, and you're available. What's your email over there, if you wouldn't mind?
So if it's COVID specific, it's Dent County Mo COVID-19 at gmail.com. If it's not COVID specific, then it's just kendra.mobray at lpha.mo.gov.
Okay. And your Facebook page is at Dent County Health Center.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. It's DCHC, I believe, isn't it? Okay, well, I went on Dent County Health Center Facebook page, and it's not there. So, anyway, ended up with it. Yeah, I think it was.
I gotta look it up now.
Anyway,
I think
but that's
it's
okay.
House Center.
But if you can find it on there, you just got to be very patient. But you have your guidelines for the opening of businesses on your Facebook page.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's not your Facebook name. That's the title of it. I mean, we could do it, but it's the actual address it goes to. Just type
Anyway,
in
we're
Dent
pretty
County
easy
Health
to
Center.
find.
Yeah, and go in there, and at the list of requirements and non-requirements for businesses effective Monday
Correct.
is on your Facebook page. But if somebody would like to get a copy of that, they can just contact you guys, right?
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Yep. Thank you.
Wonderful.
I
You
knew
have
it.
a
I
wonderful
knew it.
weekend.
I already got a text from somebody said, free money, send me some.
Yeah. Absolutely. Free
In
money.
due time, friend, in due time. Get in line.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. There will be a line, I'm sure.
Yep.
Thanks, Kendra.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Very good.
See you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Hey, actually, Kendra, come back here.
Kendra, come back.
You get a chance to think about coming to commission meeting Monday morning.
Okay.
Just think about it. Okay.
9:00.
Okay.
All right. Very good. Okay. So let's get back to county
Well, I did
business
I
here.
was glad to be able to mention that.
Yeah, that's very good. Yeah.
That was quite an interesting conference call we had with the state treasurer and the state folks about this thing. And anyway,
Well, I was going to ask you about it, but I figured, since the county commission hasn't met since it came out,
Right, but the information's out there.
Right, I know. The information's out there, but
They've called me and I've shared what I could.
But normally
That's
we
just
have
what
a
it is.
commission approval before we
Thursday.
move forward,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, well,
And I'm sure that'll still have to be done Monday, even though it's already
we could
done.
we could still vote Monday to not participate and advise the treasurer. I mean, I knew we had a meeting Monday, so we could still, but I don't foresee that happening in any way, shape, or form. And as I say, I think maybe I know of one county for sure that they already met and voted and said no, they're not taking it. But I got a feeling if they get to looking and digging a little further. But it is, boy, I tell you, if for some of these counties, there were some counties at the end of the year last year with virtually nothing left in the coffers and started fresh. And you get a deal like this where, oh yeah, you get all this money, but it's going to cost you a $15,000 federal audit to take it, and you actually don't get all them. You actually don't end up even keeping the money. And I don't think the way the guidelines on the thing are, I don't think we can use any of those dollars. Maybe we can. Again,
Yeah.
it's in the clarification. But I don't think we can use any of those dollars that come. Well, actually, I know we wouldn't, because here's the thing. Those dollars have to be expended by March the 30th. And any monies left in that account after that point have to go back to the state. Well, if you do a federal audit, they don't come and get that financial audit done until up in June, up in the summer. There's no way you could even pay for it out of those funds. So there you are, you're just hung.
Well, I know, but the wording of that says, would you have had that financial audit if you didn't have the COVID-19? So if you're using the terms of the actual CARES Act, where it says that would not have been part of your expenses had you not had it, that maybe that would qualify.
It might qualify, but you'd have to get the money spent by March 31st.
Well, yeah, but you can put that in your next budget.
It
But
don't
they can't
matter.
do the audit until you're
Those
finished.
monies have to be expended and out of that.
I know, but if you put an invoice in because of that financial audit,
No.
I'm saying, I'm just saying. Well, that's part of the clarification. It probably still has
But
to be
anyway,
figured out.
other stuff going on.
Yeah.
You know,
Card money.
huh?
Yeah, got some card money.
Yep. We did receive, as far as Road and Bridge, it's all normal grading going on. Been grading roads like crazy. Brush cutting continues and so forth and so on. Treasurer Anita Williams is in and did report on our cart funds. And again, that's some money comes in from motor vehicle sales, also from the sales, the tax, not the sales tax, but the tax on
Gas.
fuels. And comes in every month towards the end of the month, and she did report that April for this year was down considerably from April of last year. However, year to date, we are up about $5,500, so up about 2.6%. So, and again, as people have heard me say over and over, we do watch that very closely. I'll be surprised if that doesn't start dropping off
I'm
pretty
sure,
precipitously as a result of what all's happened here in
Yeah.
the last, because these cart funds that come in April are reflecting February and March probably. So anyway, but that at least is good that we're up year to date to that. So anyway, and other than that, work has continued on the jail. This whole mess has happened with this thing has obviously slowed a lot of things down there, and with that, just a lot of various things that the sheriff's department and them have looked at with the architect, with the builders, a deal of straightening out and getting right, so that we don't find ourselves having to try to fix some minor things after we get in there. That's never a good thing. So there's some work continuing. They found out some work had to be done on the railing that wasn't done to meet the city's code specs. So there'll have to be some cabling and some things done on all the railing put in, and even on the glass in the control room to make it better for vision to see and so on. So, but in the end, as it turns out, we'd hope to have a ribbon cutting and provide tours for folks to be able to come and see it. Obviously, with what's happened here with all the distancing thing here and the stay-at-home orders for the last month and stuff, that complicated the issues pretty bad on doing that. But as it looks like now, it looks like if things work out here, we will take possession of the jail sometime here, probably here in May. And the sheriff's department is looking at, and the commission as well with them, looking at trying to go ahead and schedule and set up a ribbon cutting and a public viewing. Jail probably be a deal where members of the staff will take small groups at a time, and to take them through and show them what we've got. And I think folks by and large will be pretty amazed to see see what we've got and be pretty excited about it. So we look forward to that. So as it is, I mean, and again, so sometimes it's a little frustrating, but on the other hand, we want to get a lot of these little things done and fixed and out of the way. And the sheriff has staff, and they've been going through and doing just work throughs, just like there were prisoners there. If you were doing this and this, how's this, what's this? And it's probably been more extensively tested as much as or more than most any new jail that's been built, as far as getting some preoccupation of the jail testing done and seeing what are some snags.
And my understanding with a lot of new employees that the sheriff's department had to hire, this is all first time for them.
Oh yeah,
not even familiar with the law enforcement side of it before. So there's quite a learning curve there, Darrell.
Absolutely for everybody.
Yeah.
But that's okay. That's good. And so and again, so they're continuing to work. This thing has really put a wrinkle as far as even in the work crews and the people doing the work, and as far as how they can do and things. I mean, it's really kind of slowed things up a little, but really not bad. And so we can work around it. And we're getting there. So looking good.
Very good. You mentioned the courthouse will be back open on Monday, right?
And the courthouse will be open Monday for regular business.
Yep.
But again, please try to, if you come, and then again, we found out a whole lot of the business that people need to come into the courthouse and do, they can call whichever office holder do a lot of that. But absentee voting has continued on and will be going on before the June election coming up, and other things like that. People have been able to pay their bills. I haven't had anybody complain to me that they weren't able to get done the business they needed to do at the courtherhouse.
And even if you don't want to come in the courthouse, like if you have something for the collector, you can drop it off in the drop box or the assessor. You can still drop it outside.
Yep.
They're not going to stop going out there and checking it because this is over. So you can still do that. You can do it after hours. You can do it during hours. It doesn't matter. And if you want to call them and say, hey, I left check out in the drop box, well, that's fine. And then they can go out there and even get it that day.
Yep.
So there's just a little bit of communication goes a long way, really, in a lot of this.
As far as meetings, I've been to several meetings over the last couple of weeks of different things, as far as update meetings having to do with the COVID-19 coronavirus deal, but at any rate,
haven't had those MRPC meetings and all those, Darrell.
Those have been done.
You forgot how to do them.
Those have been done remotely by a conference call. Matter of fact, while we was here just this morning, I got a notice about a conference call or a Zoom meeting coming up later this month. And I expect the MRPC meeting this month again will be through a remote conference call type of a situation. So anyway. So, yeah, it's been kind of quiet on that. And a lot of things just canceled and put off to a later date.
Sure.
So there's going to be some really busy times here if we can ever get back to a little bit more normal in that regard. So
yeah, well,
that kind of catches me up.
Yeah, we're very fortunate in Dent County and many of the Ozark counties around here not to have any cases. And
we're very blessed.
We've been very fortunate. I feel like we've been very fortunate that as of Monday, a lot of people on the 27th, the governor's first official day to try and get things back open. And some people actually went ahead and got permission from Kendra to go ahead and get open as long as they follow certain rules. And then May 4th is going to be the hard opening date. And we do know that there's still going to be some exceptions to that. So please, if you need that information that Kendra has, that the health department put out, it's very easy. It's 2 pages. It's very simple, very clear, very forthright. You can just find out exactly what you can and can't do. If you're a business, and if you're a restaurant business or spa or whatever, got all the information right there.
And again, on this money that we'll be getting, we will be getting that. It will be put into an account. We'll be getting a budget set up for that, and we'll be getting things worked out for administration of those funds and how to apply and so on. And we'll get all that information out. There'll be plenty of information go out on how folks can apply for that, as far as what will be covered and what we can do, and so on. So. Just do want folks to be aware of that.
The only other thing I would even say, Darrell, is for those businesses that are still out there that may need some help, still get in touch with Sally Burbridge. She's not here today, but Sally has done a tremendous job of trying to be in touch with as many people as she can. And
various state and federal programs that can help.
Yeah. And there's still some money out there available, even if it's not the payroll protection program. This one didn't get eaten up quite as quick, so there's still some money out there for self-proprietors and contractors.
I've heard this week from people that just recently now found they were getting qualified to get help through that program.
So if you're one of those, if you've not been able to, you weren't able to get it the first time at all, do contact Sally at the City Administrator's Office at 729-4811, and it's a generic number there, but just ask for her, and they'll get you to her, and then she can help you and guide you in that direction.
Yep.
Or if you want something on the payroll protection program, you can contact your local bank, and they can tell you if they are an SBA-approved bank, and they can go from there. If they are, then they are able to work that. You can work with them on that as well.
And I know Sally's been working from home a good bit, and you're more than welcome to call Sally's cell phone, Sally Burbridge, who can help with some of this stuff. And her cell number is 573-453-6871.
There you go.
And because she's just been working nonstop on trying to help businesses and people get some things through the various programs that are available. So
yeah, I bet if you'd have talked to her back in January, she had no idea about all.
nobody in
had
the first or even hardly up to the middle of March would have dreamed that this thing. I seen a fact today, actually, that on March the 1st in the U.S., I think there were 2 COVID-19 coronavirus deaths, fatalities on March the 1st. And as of May the 1st, there have been over 60,000. That's pretty sobering statistic right there.
And when you consider about half of that's out of New York.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah. You can see how devastating it could be.
Glad to see things start opening back up a little, though. I mean, everybody is. It just needs to happen.
But we've seen what this virus can do and how it's affected all industries. And look at the meat packers now, and how that, people say, well, it's just the meat packers and the processing plants. You bring it all the way down to the farmers, to the feed stores, to everybody else. I mean, that affects everybody.
Yeah, the prospects were good for good feeder cattle prices this year, which is what we produce right here in Dent County, and those prospects have been totally erased.
Yeah.
But we'll get through this, and we'll get on. But this deal, with the packing things and these things, them animals are out there alive. You can't just stop the ones on the farm. You can't just stop and put them on hold.
Right.
Now you can graze them a little longer in some things, but at some point they get bigger. They got to go to the feedlots. When they're in the feedlots, they can only keep feeding them and growing them so big. Then when the packing plants back up, that's a pretty serious problem. So, but there's some, as I say, there's some real bright things out there opening back up. There's some real promise in some of the new drug they're finding that will help arrest the symptoms and make recovery better and quicker. So anyway, things are looking better.
Very good. Well, we want to thank Darrell for coming in, and thank Kendra for coming in, spending some time with us. This program is paid for by Darrell out of his pocket. No county dollars, no tax dollars, no COVID-19 dollars help pay for this program.
Nope, not a one.
Yeah, none of them. And we just want to again thank Darrell for coming in and giving you a lot more detail about what's going on, and giving you an update on this new money that's coming into Dent County. And of course, we've known about it, but I was waiting on the commission to actually formally approve it, and I didn't realize you had to have a letter in by today or yesterday.
Right.
So anyway, we'll have information on that come next week out there, a little bit more information, but still it's very vague at this time. So it's just not a lot of known, but we will definitely get that information out to you. And the more information that the county can get on that, the more information we'll get to you on that as well. So very
that's
good.
Right.
So
need more news coming.
Well, turkey season's still going on, Darrell. You got time.
Yeah. Yep. It goes on.
If you have time to go out.
Goes on for another week or two, week or so.
Yeah,
another week, one more week, I think it is.
Week.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know about that. We'll get to that.
It's 65 and sunny. You can go out and walk.
Yep. Well, plenty to do.
We all have plenty to do. But we want to thank Darrell for coming in and spending some time with us. It's every first and third Monday. This is May 1st. He'll be back on the 15th. The Ides of May. And
Lord willing, and the creeks don't rise. We'll be here the 15th.
Creeks have risen enough this year, haven't they? That's just, a little rain every now and then doesn't hurt.
Yep, that's fine. We haven't had any major flooding, and so that's okay. We're getting there. So, we'll be back here on the 15th. I hope folks heard or learned something that they found interesting or didn't know, heard something useful. And do appreciate Kendra coming in. But we'll be back here in a couple of weeks. And until then, I hope everyone will be safe, happy, healthy. God bless each and every one of you.